Welcome to the Nonprofits. We scour the internet searching for proof of deities and the supernatural. Despite not finding information to convince us of the existence of any God, we're here to tell you what we have found. So buckle up because the show is starting right now. Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of The Nonprofits, the show where we discuss news and topics of the day from a skeptical humanist perspective. My name is Cynthia, and today's topics are there's something. And we're gonna get back
Boy,
into it.
they sure are.
They are quite something, and the panel agrees. So before we get into all that, let's go ahead and introduce the hostesses with the mostesses, starting with my far left, Scott Dickie. Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm looking forward. I got some of my favorite panelists on this evening, and so we should have a good time ahead of us, I think.
I agree. I totally agree. And next up, we have the cutest cartoon this side of the Western Hemisphere, Teo, El Ateo. How are
Thank you
you?
so much, Steve. Yeah, you are always so awesome. You make me blush and you make me happy. And I'm so happy to be here on So Pumped Up. Just like Scott, some of my favorite people are in here. So, of course, I'm ready to have a great time today.
All righty. Well, we're so glad that we're your favorite and we just love your passion. You too, Scott. Oh, if you all notice, like Scott has a new do. You should model really quick for us. Ooh. Ah.
I want to say he got inspired by me. That's why he got that haircut. And I totally understand that.
Glasses too.
Yes.
I forgot my tie, though.
Yeah, well, Teo's a trendsetter.
Yes, he is. He's got to stay ahead of the curve here.
He is. And speaking ahead of the curve, we also have a fellow hosto. I don't know why I did that. Hey, Kelley, how you doing?
Hi, Cynthia. How you doing? It's great. I feel really lucky to be on a panel with three great people, and then you got me. So, but yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
That's because, Kelley, you are greater. So how about that?
Thanks.
It's a rocks, dude. We love your rocks.
Yes, we always love your rocks. Your rocks.
Hey, yo.
Your rocks.
Your rocks. What do you want
to
do?
Rocks.
Your rocks.
As long as you don't take them for granted.
Okay. Yep. Dad joke. So let's go ahead and talk about.
So we have two of my favorite panelists on tonight.
You know what? That was a perfect segue to go ahead and to talk about what we're going to talk about, guys. So you ready? We're going to talk about in the first segment some shit internet apologists say. GOP chair goes full flat earth. Yes, an elected official is talking about how the earth is flat.
I think in Georgia they say official. It's elected official.
Elected officials saying some things. Yes, the GOP is. In our next segment, in my backyard, Illinois Catholic clergy abuse more children than reported. So we will discuss that. And then we have a brand new interstitial called What the Florida? Well, it's not like brand new, but we actually have like video to go through it. And I'm super excited.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. And we have a Florida man claiming Bud Light released hell on earth. I missed the memo. And then at the very end, we have a step in the right direction with a Christian teacher banned in the UK. And as with all of our shows, links to today's topics and the news we discuss are available in the description below. Everybody point down. Sorry. We didn't practice that in the background, y'all. But they're there. And as a reminder that if you want to come into the show prepared, you can check out the Nonprofits Facebook fan page every Friday, I believe. Yes, every Friday night for a list of the articles ahead of time. And with that being said, we're going to go into segment numero 1. And it's going to be a shit
Shit.
Internet apologists say.
Shit. Internet apologists say.
All right, we knocked that out of the park. I'm going to give us a thumbs up on that one, boy.
Yeah,
we
did.
nailed that. All right, so for our shit internet apologists say, so we're talking about, here's the title of the article: Georgia GOP chair goes full flat earth, says globes are part of a conspiracy. And this article was written by Nikki McCann Ramirez at rollingstone.com on May 24th of this year. And so I just want to bathe in the glory of that headline for a moment. It's Georgia GOP chair goes full flat earth, says, and this is my favorite part, says globes are part of a conspiracy. So we're talking about Candace Taylor. She's recently elected GOP district chair from Georgia, and she was heard on her podcast. She has this podcast called Jesus, Guns, and Babies. I want to make a note of the order of those on there. Notice, I think that's important. But she was speaking with a couple of people. She was talking to David Weiss, who is also known as Flat Earth Dave, and Matt Long. Not sure who that was, but I'm sure he's very important. About how the earth is really flat and that the promotion of a round earth is some sort of conspiracy to, well, I'm sure whatever the conspiracy is for, it's certainly something really nasty, I'm sure. So Taylor is also known for her failed run for governor of Georgia in 2022. Well, some think her run had failed. According to her, the 3.7% of the vote that she won in the Republican primary was a misrepresentation of the real will of the voters, and that the election was rigged in favor of her opponent, Governor Brian Kemp, who had 73.7% of the primary vote. So apparently the vote counters in Georgia are really, really good at fudging the numbers. That's a big swing there, but who would have thunk it? Now, before we talk about this, I just want to issue an apology, as I'm a member of the public education system, and I want to apologize to Candace Taylor for the obvious and utter failure the education system has had in preparing her to be a productive member of society. So, ironically and frighteningly, actually, Taylor is also a teacher. She's a third grade teacher in Georgia, so watch out for that. So, anyway, so who we got up first? Teo, you're up next here.
Oh yeah, I'm always ready. Yeah, terrible. I will talk about the educational system and how it has failed to these people, but I want to start by: does it really surprise to anyone that they said this silly thing in a podcast called Jesus, Guns, and Babies with a guy called Flat Earth Dave? I mean, okay, if you're going to say something that stupid, fine. Find the most stupid place.
It's so good that Flat Earth Dave found his niche, because I think if he had not found that, then he would have this weird nickname that nobody would get.
Exactly.
So it's a good thing that he found his place.
Yeah. Good on you.
Some people find what they need. Okay, I guess this person is a good Christian who actually believes their Bible, and that is the main reason why they're doing that. Because whenever any Christian or Bible believer tells me, "Oh, hey, did you know that the earth is round according to the Bible?" I say yes. If you read Proverbs 8:27 and Job 22:14, the original, or the closest to the original Bible, is described. The earth is described as Magal. Magal is a circle. For those people out there who know who know a little bit about geometry, a circle is a flat figure with a round flat figure. Why? Well, because remember that the Bible is just a flat thing that has a dome on top, and over that dome there are the waters that had to flood the whole planet, according to Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever any Christian says, or any believer actually says, "Oh, no, the Bible says the earth is not flat," they are lying. Check your Hebrew. Magal, literally a circle. And then they say, no, but the Bible was written in an old time, and the word sphere didn't exist, because they never read Isaiah 22:18, where they specifically use the word kadur. Kadur means a spherical 3D shape, a ball, or a sphere, yeah. So yeah, guys, this person is somebody who failed at school, or the educational system failed to this person, and this person decided to start believing the Bible. and that led this person to go against all basic knowledge of that humanity has at their disposals. And I think that is very sad. For me, it's quite sad, really.
Yeah. Kelley,
Yeah,
what are you thinking?
I want to say that I was really surprised that an elected official could say something like this. But over the last few years, with some of the things I've heard many different politicians say, I'm not surprised at all anymore. It just seems normal from some parts of our political spectrum. And on top of that, if you know anything about Candace Taylor, as Scott pointed out, you would doubly not be surprised, right? One thing that Scott didn't touch on was the Georgia Guidestones. She had come out and actually called for them to be destroyed, which of course they were. That was something we had discussed here on Nonprofits a few months ago,
Right.
when they were blown up. And she was one of the people calling for that. She was at the forefront of the people calling for that. Mike Lindell, who actually backed her up on the bad election claims.
Is that the pillow guy?
Yeah, that's the pillow
Yeah,
guy.
there's no
Pillow
way
guy.
that you could get like a 73% to 3% mix up. That's just so bad. And it's just not her podcast. It's also her campaign slogan was Jesus,
Right.
Guns, and
Right,
Babies.
yeah.
So,
That's right. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And Scott, I want to tell you why I have a little bit of experience talking to flat earthers, and the reason they think that the elites are keeping this information from us is that they believe there's actually a lot more of the earth, that because the earth is flat, there's a lot more of it, and these elites are keeping all these parts of the earth away from us so that they can exploit the resources.
Okay, that makes
and
sense.
we can't have any of them unless we buy them from them.
I get it. For the rest of the episode, just call me Flat Earth Scott.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm convinced.
You know, she's pushed all kinds of crazy conspiracy theories, including that the Republican leadership is all communist, which I can't figure that one out, and Democrats are all Satan worshippers. So her saying she thinks the earth is flat, meh. Cynthia, you want to add to that?
You know, the whole thing I was just thinking when I was listening to her rant was gloves everywhere. I just
Well, you know, you've heard of big oil, right? Big tobacco.
Right.
Now we're talking big balls, right?
Big
That's what
balls
this
right
is. The
there.
propaganda. Big balls. It's all about the big balls, baby.
Oh my gosh, right. Insert rap song from the 90s here. But you know, one of the things that I know like a lot of you guys actually discussed about Candace Taylor, her failed GOP run for governor of Georgia. And you know, the crazy thing about it is that her viewpoints specifically, especially when she was talking about Jesus, guns, and babies, were not really different from the GOP that was running alongside her. It's just that I just think that what kind of shot her in the foot is that she was just way more extreme with it. And because like it seemed like that everything that she was doing specifically was a conspiracy theory when she was running. I remember like she had like these different pillar talking points that she would like lay out during her campaign. And one of the final ones when she said that when I talk about this, it's really just going to blow your mind and just knock off the entire conspiracy of everything. And that's when she was talking about the Georgia Guidestones, which, you know, it's just a piece of art. It's really not that overwhelming. It's kind of underwhelming. But like I think that she just has a tendency just to put a lot more into things than what it really is, and that's what a lot of times we have specifically with conspiracy theorists. But you know, I know that Teo kind of touched about this a little bit if we're talking about the Hebrew, about, you know, different words and where it comes from flat. But you know, most of these Christo-fascists are not going into the etymology of biblical terms. Most of them are not.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure most of them don't even know what etymology means.
you know,
That like insects or something, or birds, something like that. I don't know.
May I quote something that I wrote? Because now that Cynthia's saying that, I just found that I wrote, if she's the leader of the Republican Party, I have to admit, this really makes me extremely worried about the IQ of the Republican Party and the people supporting this quotation mark genius.
Yeah,
So-
well, she like 45, she's a certified genius. Or what did he say? He said I'm a real genius. Some genius. It don't matter. He gone. But one of the things that I wanted to actually point out, if we're just going on surface, because this is really what I wanted to discuss, as I actually watched other people actually give commentary about what happened with her and her rant, and Flat Earth Dave and Matt Long, who's not short. You see what I did there? Y'all supposed to laugh, but never mind.
I smile.
In my defense, I didn't see it, so there you have it.
It's okay. But one of the things that I wanted to point out is that if you actually look up scriptures that are supposedly to lead to a flat earth, it really does not say anything like that. I'm just going to point out just a few, like a couple that's in the Old Testament and a couple that's in the New. First Chronicles 16:30, tremble before him all the earth, the world is firmly established, it cannot be moved. First Samuel 2:8, he raises the poor from the dust and lifts the needy from the ash heap. He seats them with princes, and has them inherit a throne of honor, for the foundations of the earth are the Lord's, on them he has set the world. I was also looking up specifically scripture that had to do with the firmament, because this whole thing about the earth is under a dome, and under that is the firmament and the waters and all that other crazy stuff. In Genesis first Genesis 1 rather, 6-8, then God said, let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And God made the expanse and separated the waters which were below, and the expanse from the waters which were above this expanse. And it was so. God called the expanse heaven, and there was evening, and there was morning a second day. And then I wanted to run over to our favorite book in the world, Revelations, for obvious reasons. Revelation 7:1. After this, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth to prevent any wind from blowing on the land or on the sea or any tree. I think that one of the things I did not point out specifically, but I did mention this, is that Job actually had the most scriptures concerning the earth, but he never mentions globes or not globes, or spheres or not spheres, or any of that. Now, even if I
So he's not flat Earth Job.
No. Flat Earth Dave is on his own with that one.
Wow.
But even if I granted that the story of Job is true, this was a man that was laid sick on the brink of death, caused by God because he and the devil made a bet. In pain, I am pretty sure that he ended up having a hallucination or 2 or 3 or 4. Because, like, if you in pain like that, you almost dead and whatnot, and your flesh is eaten away, that has
Cynthia, I find your lack of faith disturbing. I find
you
You're
know,
saying
well,
that God didn't tell him all those stuff? Come on, Cynthia, come on.
I'm trying to figure out where the 4 corners of a circle are at.
Well, as the only math teacher in the room here,
please help.
I can chip in on this, and I
Yes.
have found that the geometric misconceptions in the Bible fall well within the normal array of mistakes that people make about geometry. So I think we can maybe cut them a little bit of slack. If you've seen the thing, if you've been where I've been, seen the things that I've seen, you'll know that, oh, that's just perfectly normal human beings making mistakes on that one.
I just like to say really quick, Scott, because I know that you have something else that you want to chime in on, that when I took geometry, the answer to all of the theorems were CPCTT.
Oh, definitely.
Always.
Yep.
Every last one. Every
Congruent
last
part.
one.
Do you remember what it stands for?
Hell no, I'm 46.
Congruent parts for congruent triangles are congruent. Or no, corresponding parts. That was it. Corresponding parts.
See,
boy, we're losing our audience, so let's quick get back to the
yes. Let's get back
to the flat Earth people.
Yeah, globes everywhere.
Globe.
Yeah, well, the funny thing about that quote, Cynthia, that you were talking about is so here's what she said, and it sounds funnier, even funnier than the way that you already presented. She said, "All the globes everywhere," Taylor said later in the discussion. "I turn on the TV, there's globes in the background. Everywhere there's globes. You see them all the time. It's constant. My children will be like, 'Mama, globe, 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 globe.' They're everywhere." It's like, really? I've never noticed. Maybe it's one of those things like, you buy a new Jeep and then you see all the Jeeps on the road. Maybe she's just like getting obsessed with globes or something.
Right.
But I just wanted to throw in, though, that I went and I know I'm a glutton for punishment, but I went and I watched more of that podcast episode. I was able to find it.
Why'd you do that?
On YouTube. I wanted to, I want to give them a fair shake. I don't want to, I don't want to just, go off of what rollingstone.com thought was important, but,
okay, gotcha.
There was nothing more to add. There's nothing additional on there. Although, interestingly enough, one of her guests, Flat Earth Dave, he was saying during their interview time that he came to Christianity because of his flat Earth belief. And then Matt Long, the other guy that she was interviewing, said, "Oh, well, I came to flat Earth belief because of my Christianity." And I thought, boy, that was just a perfect circle of reasoning there. Or maybe it was a sphere of reasoning. I don't know. If they think the Earth is flat, then maybe they think that kind of reasoning is linear. I don't know. But it was funny. But one last thing I wanted to throw in here, and that was I don't know if any of you noticed this, but there was a wonderful self-burn in the article, and they were quoting Dave Weiss from the podcast. He said, "The people that defend the globe don't know anything about the globe. If they knew a tenth of what Matt and I know about the globe, they would be flat earthers." So what he was saying is that if there's people that know 1/10 of what he knows, those are the people that are flat earthers, right? So ignorance leads to flat Earth belief. According to Flat Earth Dave, that's the case.
I was watching a YouTuber who actually who was commenting on this specifically, and he mentioned that specific quote from Dave. If they knew 1/10 of what they knew about the flat Earth, they would be flat earthers. And he was like, so 1/10 of that means you know absolutely nothing. You
got a point. Got a point.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. But go ahead, Kelley.
I did do a deep dive into it, and it turns out that globes are the first form of AI, and they are out for global domination.
It's right there in the name.
There you go.
There in the name.
There you go. Take that, atheist.
Yeah,
man.
Boy, checkmate.
Jeez. Well, we might as well just go ahead and move on, because obviously we don't know what the hell we're talking about. So.
But we put on a good show doing it.
We do, especially like, if everybody wanted to get into the dance, we will be selling the song on our merch store. Globes everywhere. Ode to Candace Taylor. No, kidding. But we do want to thank our veteran and our new viewers for getting us over the 12,000 subscriber hump. So appreciate you all very much. And if you are watching us now, well, of course you're watching us now. Why would I say if? Because obviously you're watching us now. So while you're watching us now, rather, if you haven't subscribed yet, you need to get on that. And once you subscribe, like this video and ring the bell for notifications so that you always know when a new Nonprofits episode premieres every Sunday at 3 p.m. But you knew that already. Did you know it was Central? Did you? Well, you do now. And then Share the link to our channel with your friends, your family members, your coworkers, the neighbor guy you don't like because he stole your lawnmower and your leaf blower, and also the salt that you will put on your sidewalk during the winter. That guy is a douchebag. Yes, he is. But you can share this link with him and everybody and anybody else. And let's get the word out there so we can also help with fundraisers. And I don't know if you knew, the ACA's programming is also available in podcast form. So make sure you check out the Atheist Experience Network, where you can find all ACA shows in podcast form. Make sure you subscribe at tiny.cc/AEN podcast to listen to episodes of the nonprofits, the Truth Wanted, the Talk Heathens, and the Atheist Experiences, and all of our even archived ACA shows. You don't want to miss a single episode. That's right, our friends. You have permission from myself, Kelley, Teo, and Scott to binge by unholy edict. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Exactly. You know, all that shit. Whatever. Regardless, so we're gonna go to the segment second.
You can say segments number 2.
Segment number 2. Let's do that. And Teo, that's you.
Oh yeah, and whenever it's me in here, this is no thing about. It's never fun when I'm here, and I'm sorry. Maybe you have realized that I tend to talk about certain global mafia that protects evil criminals. Here I have a representation of their evil overlord that so many people believe to be a safe on earth. Disgusting actions that this person has committed make me very, very, very angry. But I'm not going to talk about how angry I am. I'm just going to talk about this article that I have to thanks appnews.com. Please, guys, check this on the description. There you can find all the information. Once again, it's me against the freaking Catholic Church and their crimes, but it's okay. Are we surprised that they are terrible, that they are awful? Of course not. Of course not. Are we surprised that the Catholic Church is an awful mafia that is trying to protect pederasts even nowadays? Maybe not. And are we surprised when we realize that the clergy lied about the amount of abused little people that have suffered under their personnel? Of course, we are not surprised about that, because that is what this mafia always does. And it's not surprising, it's enraging, it's awful. But guys, what can we expect from institutions? And it's not only the Catholic Church. Please go and check the abuse and molestation coverage insurance policy that even evangelical churches can hire nowadays. Actually, churches are nowadays the biggest danger to children's bodies in our society, and that's why they are hiring these policies for whenever their priests decide that they are going to use their power and abuse the most defenseless people that sadly are forced to go and to go to their institutions, to go under their buildings, and to be, well, brainwashed by these awful people. So I'm going to make this very general. I'm sure that, Kelley, you want to talk about the numbers, and I think it's good if you tell us, because if I start talking about the numbers, it's going to get ugly. So, Kelley, please.
I will mention that there were 2,000 children that were not reported in the past that this story broke about. It's hard for me to talk about things like this because of my past. I was physically abused as a child. I raised 2 kids, so when I hear about kids getting hurt like this, it really, really bothers me. One of the things that really bothers me about this too is that all these priests, when they got caught, you know, they all went to the confessional. They had to say a few Hail Marys, and now they're going to go party up in heaven with Jeffrey Dahmer. I find this really, really disgusting. And it's not only the church that was at fault here, but the state of Illinois.
Yeah.
Where was the state at? Where were these investigations at? Where were the people that should have been protecting these kids because they weren't there? Were the investigators, did they just do a slack job because they're Catholics? What was going on here? I'm really, really pissed off that something didn't get done sooner, or that these 2,000 kids fell through the cracks when there was an investigation. It's horrible. It's completely horrible and should never, ever, ever have happened. Scott, you want to take it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we know that child abuse is horrible, and child sexual abuse can have significant impacts on their study after study after study of long-term emotional and sexual and even sometimes even physical disabilities, and it can affect and it's basically, if you abuse a child in that way, it's very much like destroying a world, right? It's like, was it Oppenheimer that said, "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds"? And so when you destroy a child's world, a child's future, it's tragic. It's tragic. And what makes it worse is that these religious leaders are set up as to be moral leaders. And by when we say moral leaders, we not only mean that they are leaders that are expected to be moral, but that they're supposed to be leading, they're guiding their flock into how to be moral. How, and these are people that are representing supposedly the ultimate creator of the universe, the ultimate guide to morality, and clearly that's not working out. I don't know, Teo, what's your take on that?
Well, what Kelley said is totally true. I mean, they started with 100 victims. Nowadays it's 2,000. There were 1,900 victims that nobody knew anything about. And this attorney here, Attorney General, I think it's Kwame Rowe,
Yeah, Kwame
said,
Raoul.
oh, thank you, Raul.
Mhm.
He had to make huge investigations. He had to read over 100,000 pages and talk about several, like 600 in confidential interactions that were not supposed to be brought to light. And after all that huge amount of effort, many of the clerics who committed these awful crimes, they are not going to be judged because time has passed. It has a name that I had written in here, but I don't remember the name of it. And
Statutes of limitations.
yeah, thank you, Cynthia. You're
You're
an angel.
welcome.
They are not going to be judged because of that. And some others, they were protected by this awful mafia that I always talk about for so long that they are dead. They passed away. So they were never judged and they never had to face justice. They never had to face the legal system. And it's extremely awful, terrible, disgusting, and enraging that those people made so much damage. They harmed others so much, and nothing happened with that. It makes me extremely sad and upset, Cynthia. It's awful.
It is awful, and this is kind of crazy because this is like right in my backyard. Especially like I am a former alumni of a Catholic school, so a lot of these
So you're saying
pastors.
there's hope for students in those schools, right?
Well, if you didn't get abused, I mean, but the thing about it is,
Destroyer of
well,
worlds.
that's what the Catholic Church is.
Mm.
We can go down the list of not just like protecting pedophiles or even like sexual abusers. We can go through other atrocities specifically from the Catholic Church that has happened for a very very long time. I just was even curious to know how far back do sexual abuse allegations actually go back to for the Catholic Church. And in one of my dives, I found out that they have records of abuse going back to 1629. This is before the United States was even a nation. I think that the Jamestown was only maybe what in in service for maybe like 10 years after the first allegation came out. But when I found this is actually from I want to say from the abuse of the Catholic Church from the Malley law firm PLLC. And basically, this was for a Spanish priest named Joseph Calanza. I'm sorry, Calasanz. Yes, that is correct, Calasanz. And he was actually a teacher that was teaching poor boys. And the accusations were made by fellow priests with concerns over impure friendships with schoolboys. And the accusations regarding Father Stefano Cherubini was the one to be investigated. However, Calasanz aimed to cover up what he called this great shame so that it was not brought to the attention of his superiors. In fact, instead dealing with the accused priest, he was actually promoted, setting the precedent the Catholic Church continues to follow. This practice of accusations, discovery, promotion, and or shuffling of known sexual abusers even had a name that translates to mean promotion for avoidance. And that's what this was. When they were talking specifically about these children, that I believe that the records were going back to the 1950s all the way to 2019. 2019. So you have over 100,000 documents from the 1950s all the way to 2019. And we know that accusations, claims, and a lot of them substantiated, were happening before 2019. The Catholic Church was well aware of it. Pope Francis called himself doing an apology tour during around this time period. Still was doing one last year because we covered it. And earlier this year, when he was in Canada and other places to apologize for the atrocities that the church was doing with leaders in the church. But it was still happening. And I don't understand how, because, okay, let me slow down for a moment so I can get my thoughts together. But one of the things that really baffles me is that the church in of itself was able to be autonomous, like semi-autonomous, as a diocese and an organization, in order for them not to get any type of outside law enforcement from other governments that they were established. I mean, like, I can't imagine that Illinois did not know, going back this time period, or somebody that was elected that did not know about some of these allegations that was going back to the 1950s. I can't imagine that not happening. Or if they were in office and they knew about it, they were going to say, well, it's the Catholic Church, they need to be protected because it's a church. And I need that to stop, really. I mean, and especially since, even though we have all these documents and substantiated claims and movies and the Washington Post and all these different stories that have come out about this, Time Magazine, and even other organizations that have been complicit in doing the same thing, we are still, because I'm going to put us in this too, because we're citizens, and we're citizens not only of the United States, but citizens of the world, and we see what's going on. And we have failed children because we didn't have enough people speaking out to governments to say that they need to be protected, and damn them being a church, damn them for hearing any type of edicts coming from God directly, because the Pope supposedly has a direct line, like he's some freaking telephone company to God, that him and any other people that's under him, from cardinals to bishops to priests on down, should have protection. And it really pains me. and thank you, Kelley, for sharing. I know that you've touched on this before, and I know this is very difficult to discuss, but we thank you for your input and insight on this, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you. Matter of fact, you can go ahead and wrap us up, because I don't know how much time that we can stay on this and not get even more and more upset.
Thanks, Cynthia. I know Scott wanted to say something quick, so I'll just try to
Yeah.
say something really quick. And
Okay.
you were right. There are a couple of things. You were right about Illinois. Somebody should have gone after these people more aggressively sooner. And why are we not holding the leaders of the church responsible for this stuff? They're the ones who covered this up. It was the Catholic Church that abused these children, not just these individual priests, right? It was the church that allowed it to happen. It was the church that covered it up. It was the church that protected the perpetrators. It was the church that moved them around so they can repeat the offenses. So yeah, it was the Catholic Church that abused these kids. And just a quick note, according to Media Matters, from May 23rd to May 30th, Fox News devoted 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 32 seconds to the backlash against Target for supporting the LGBTQ community, and a whole 22 seconds to this story. 22 seconds for the whole week. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, continuing on with what you were just talking about, if we think Mr. Rogers, everyone see Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? Maybe I'm giving away my age here, but I watch Mr. Rogers all the time, and he famously said that we should look for the helpers after a tragedy, and so it was intended to give people hope for the future, showing us that even when things are down, we can rely on each other to help each other, to protect each other. But let's not forget that was intended for children. Mr. Rogers dealt with children. His show was for children. Everything that he did on his show, and really everything that he did in his life, was all about helping and protecting children. And so what's happening here is, when we look for the helpers here, the helpers are not there. And here we're talking, I'm pointing the finger here. We're talking about you Catholics. You're abandoning your children, right? They're relying on you to give them hope. They're looking for the helpers, and you're not being there. Where the fuck are you is what I want to know. Where is the uproar? Like Kelley, you were just saying, the media coverage alone is just, it's ridiculous. And so I don't know. Let's wrap this up. Let's talk about something else.
Just really quickly before we finish this.
Sorry, Teo.
Go ahead, Teo.
Yeah, stuff like what you said, Scott. For me, it's always traumatic or awful to seeing parents who keep being Catholic, people who keep giving money to the church. What is wrong with them? Are they not?
Well, those lawsuits need money, right? The lawyers ain't going to pay themselves.
Yeah.
How can you love your religion more than safety of your children? That's something I will never understand. It breaks my heart.
Infuriating.
Yeah.
Totally.
Teo, we would have to do a whole show just on that. How do you love your children how do you love your religion more than your children? I mean, there's plenty of stories that actually amplify that. I knew a few stories about like parents who would not get their children vaccinated, or even parents who would not allow their children to be treated by doctors when they got sick, because they believed that God was going to heal them, and then they died. There's even a few stories about parents actually going to jail and being charged for abuse because of them following whatever type of belief system that they were following, but they felt that they were in the right when it came to how they dealt with their children. But unfortunately, it was their faith that outweighed their love for their kids. And I have no problem saying that, because if you love your children, like really, really love them, you would do anything that you can do within your power to make sure that they're safe and taken care of. And with
that's the most disgusting thing about religion, in my view. I'm a parent too, and I can't imagine anybody holding something, some ideology, some theology, some philosophy above their own children.
I agree.
Hmm.
I totally agree. I mean, like I'm parent adjacent, and all I can think about is like, gee, what can I do to take care of, this little one that's in front of me, that's in my charge,
Right.
and I think that the best thing that I can do is to keep him away from religion. Well, one of the best things that I can do. But with that, I know that, guys, that was really heavy. So everyone, just like take a pause. Let's take a cleansing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let us reset, and we're going to move on because that was hard. That was definitely very, very hard. So, you, dear audience, if you can arrange to be in the Austin area on Sunday, June 25th, consider joining us in the studio audience at the ACA Free Thought Library for live broadcasts of Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience. Doors open at noon on Sunday. Parking is where you can find a legal spot after the lot is full. And if you can't make it there this month, we will continue to broadcast live from the library the last Sunday of each month, rather. So keep watching this show and our website, atheist-community.org, for news and information as we expand our in-studio offerings in the near future. And also, if you have a tendency to talk to yourself because there is no one else to talk to, people ask you why you do what you do. But if you do that, I'm pretty sure you asked yourself, I really love the content of the ACA. And I just wish that there's a way that I could get it all the time. I know you have these conversations. So make sure that you check out our brand new 24/7 AXP TV live stream. You can tune in at any time of the day to experience a constant rather, stream of shows, clips, and specials from over 26 seasons of the Atheist Experience. So watch or simply listen to your favorite hosts and maybe discover some hosts that you've never heard of. Visit tiny.cc/AXPTV to join all the fun. Good times, y'all. Good times. And speaking of good times, I'm so excited to introduce this next segment called What the Florida?
Boom. Nailed it.
Oh God,
Nailed
it. Nailed it to
Stuck
the
the
point where,
landing.
stuck it like bam. What the
Yep.
Florida? But in actuality, this is not really my segment to introduce. Like I'm introducing the interstitial, but not really the segment. Kelley, this is you. So if we can get Kelley big on the screen, that would be great. You're muted.
You're on mute,
Kelley.
Still on
Still
mute.
mute. Keep on muting. Keep on muting. Don't stop. No.
You're still muted.
I am so sorry.
Oh, we
So
can hear you
sorry.
now. We can hear you now.
I'm so sorry.
You're good. You're good.
I got a little upset on that last story. That was
The
my
Lord
bad.
was hardening your microphone.
Yeah. This is a story that comes to us from Boing Boing. It was written by Clara Sinclair, and it's about our proverbial Florida man. This one's name is Joe Penovich, and he owns the state's Grills Seafood Deck and Tiki Bar chain. And he told Fox News that he has never experienced a greater hardship than Bud Light making a can with a trans woman's picture on it and giving it to her. Now, these weren't marketed. There was only a few of them made. I'm pretty sure they were all given to her, to Dylan Mulvaney. But this guy's a little upset about it anyway. I don't quite understand why. I honestly think he's going a little bit crazy over this one, and not he's undermining his argument, is what I think, by the stupidity. Scott, you want to take it from here? I'm still a little upset from the last
Sure,
story.
sure. That's no
Pluto out
problem.
there,
No
so
problem. You take a breath there.
yeah,
But
sorry.
yeah, I got to call bullshit on this guy. I got to call bullshit because here's the core of his complaint from the video clip. You know, Anheuser-Busch, they held a social knife over all of our heads here, and they dropped it very irresponsibly. Social knife. It threw us into turmoil. Pearl clutching. By standing on our biblical faith, it puts us at odds with other people that didn't take that stance. And that brought us into hell on earth. So my only conclusion is that he has no idea what hardship is. I mean, this is a privileged man indeed. I find it hard to believe too that people are watching this, right? This is a major media outlet that they spent time of their day, of their programming day, to have, hey, let's have the guy talk about hell on earth. And plus he was voluntarily willing to say this in front of people. And so have people know that he was saying it. It's weird. I did find a longer clip of the interview, and because I wanted to figure out what exactly happened to him. And he never says it. He never says, and he didn't say that people were being abusive. He didn't even say that people were calling him transphobe. I don't know if you don't like people calling you transphobe. Here's my free advice. No additional charge here. If you don't want people to call you a transphobe, don't be a transphobe. Seems easy enough to me. I don't know. Teo, what's your thoughts here?
That was really profound when you said that.
Yeah, free of charge. No additional charge. Comes with your membership to the ACA.
Poor guy, probably he had to live this hell on earth, because obviously acknowledging that people exist, that trans people are real, must be as painful as being persecuted your whole life because you look different, because you are understanding who you are. It must be as terrible as being hated, insulted by your family, by your whole community, just because you're not straight. It must be something like that. I mean, what else could hell on earth be, right? I mean, it's not like, oh no. Actually, I think that I got kind of a translation of what he meant. I have my notes in here. Yeah, I think that I try to rephrase what he said. It's something like, now I cannot discriminate freely, and I've been forced to admit that non-heterosexual people exist. I cannot keep discriminating like this. Why are they doing this to me? It was something like that. That was.
I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it there. Yeah.
Nailed it. Right on the head.
It was a great translation, right? Right? Well, as you see, I have a dog in here. Kelley, can you explain the dogs, please?
That's the bigotry duck. Bigotry duck calls out all bigotry as soon as it hears it.
He was just saying this is just one more bigot hiding behind his religion too. That he keeps telling me this, and it is ridiculous. Yes, I just said it was ridiculous. Yes. I don't know how we can expect any duck to take him seriously. I already said that. I did say people. You're right. But if he actually treated his listener, the people listening to him, as if they understood middle school math, he would probably get more respect from people, and they might take him a little more seriously. I mean, I think the duck has a good point there. It is such an obviously bad argument that there's no way to take him seriously. Is there really? The guy appears to be about my age. Surely he has had friends or family die. And is he diminishing those people's deaths by saying this beer can has affected him worse in his life? That's just crazy.
Guys, I just have to say it as the only non-white person on this panel. To be a cisgender white man in America who owns the state's grill seafood deck and tiki bar chain, to call beer can endorsed by a transgender influencer hell on earth. Wow. Must be nice. I know not this life. I know not any of this to say that specifically is hell on earth. That right there. For me to be a cisgender white man in America with several businesses, not just one. He got a whole chain of them. So he making some Skrilla, as my people in the around these communities will say. He making some Skrilla, and he is calling the few cans that Dylan Mulvaney had on her table when she chimed in during the Super Bowl, because we actually covered this story previously. That specifically was hell on earth. The privilege of it all must be nice. God damn it, I tell you. So Joe, oh Joe. Joe, I don't know if Joe knows, like Bo knows, but I don't know if Joe knows, is that the reason why Dylan was picked to be a spokesperson was because Dylan has over 10 million followers on social media. And since when you have that type of platform and you want to actually make your product marketed to a wider audience, you will choose people, or maybe knock or tap somebody on the shoulder who has that type of platform that may not necessarily be heteronormative in the United States or in the world or whatever. Little something like that. Just saying. Like, I'm pretty sure that if I was an avid beer drinker, and I'm not, but I had over 10 million, 12 million, whatever followers that's, just really like me singing Step in the Right Direction, I'm pretty sure somebody is going to tap on my shoulder and say, could you please endorse my product? I mean, I don't even have that many followers on Instagram, and I got folk DMing me about their little, funky businesses all the time saying, can you post this stuff on your Instagram? I'm like, no, who are you?
Hell on earth, Cynthia.
I know.
Hell on earth.
I mean, yes, obviously there was demons and fire and pitchforks coming out of the earth's crust, and and just making everybody go like like the segment interstitial showed. That's the reason why we did that, because obviously this happened. So again, take that, atheist. Take that, atheist.
Boom.
Boom. Scott, did you ever have something else that you wanted to
I
add
do.
to this?
I do have something else, believe it or not. This is really kind of a one-note story. I mean, this guy says something ridiculous on TV and makes a fool of himself, kind of a thing. But I was curious as to why would somebody do that? Why would somebody do that? My first thought was virtue signaling, right? He's standing up for the Lord, and he's weathering the storm of persecution that's raining down on him like hellfire on the standard. I don't know however that goes. But then I thought, but isn't that really anti-Christian, right? Didn't Jesus talk about that kind of stuff, about virtue signaling? Isn't virtue signaling supposed to be a bad thing? I mean, if we look at the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector, right? The Pharisee stands up there and he's like praying in front of people, acting all pious and being, visible. And then, but the tax collector, who was supposed to be, the shifty guy, he's in it. He's the greedy, in it for the money. He's not really pious, but he's praying off in the corner. And then Jesus says, and allegedly in the story, for all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. And so, getting up on national TV and taking the hit for Jesus, I don't know, that didn't hold a lot of water. So I was curious as what, maybe from a business perspective, maybe it's a business decision. And so I actually found, sorry, what was that, Cynthia?
Or I was just going to say that it could be something else that Jesus said, that it is easier.
Let's hear it.
It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. So, because obviously, like when I mentioned previously, Joe knows Skrilla. Okay. Right. So maybe this virtual signaling could be, hey, trying to get it in with the big guy. Make sure you got them, my mansion in heaven ready for me.
I don't know.
Just
I always
saying.
thought the moral to that story was be a camel. That was the moral there. Just be a camel.
Yeah.
And you're
It could
ready
be
to
he's
go.
trying to purposely make himself go bankrupt to get into heaven too, right?
That could be. Maybe Cynthia was onto something with the whole camel and the needle thing. But I did want to look up what actual business or related organizations would say, and I found two opposing articles, and I just want to do one quote from each of them. So this first one was from the Harvard Business Review, and they think there can be situations where companies should take a stance on social issues. Okay. And so this man is representing his company. He's representing his business. And so maybe it was a business decision. The Harvard Business Review thinks that it could happen. Here's what they said. And I'm paraphrasing here. They asked three questions. Does the issue align with your company's strategy? Can you meaningfully influence the issue? And will your constituencies agree with speaking out? So if the answers to those three questions nudge you towards speaking out, then it's a good decision to do that. So I don't know. Maybe he thought that people would rally behind him. And well, obviously at least some of them are. At least foxbusiness.com is doing that. And so maybe he thought it would be a good business strategy because he reads the Harvard Business Review. On the flip side of the coin, thehill.com in an opinion piece said, companies can do more social good by not taking a stance on divisive issues. Instead, they should foster a healthy dialogue on issues among their employees and potentially their other constituents, such as consumers. Given that many people generally trust the companies they work for more than they trust other institutions, businesses are in a unique position to encourage balanced debate on contentious issues in a way that both sides can trust. So on one hand, they're saying it would make good business a good business decision to do this kind of thing, because then it's going to rally your supporters, and it's going to create unity within your employee base, and you can move forward from there. But on the other side, there are other experts that are saying, well, and to me, in all fairness, to me, the second one seems like it's the more enlightened perspective here. And what they're saying is that if you do that kind of thing, then you're going to unify your employee base, but you're also going to take away diversity. And I think we can all agree here that having diversity ensures that many different perspectives can be represented, that real solutions come. And I love this quote from Thomas Hume. It was, for some reason, his first name was blanking, but from Hume, he says, truth springs from argument among friends. And so if we have a good diverse base of opinions, then we can get that going. I'm starting to fumble here, so I'll pass off to Teo before I start.
Well, I did want to just make a quick comment, and then Teo will love you to wrap us up. Maybe he was actually signaling to his customers that only transphobic people go to the States Grill Seafood Deck and Tiki Bar chain. Just transphobic people. So if they transphobic, you good. Go on, eat your seafood at the Tiki Bar and have a drink on
one
the
of
Bigotry
us.
Duck. Yes, Bigotry Duck, because obviously Bigotry Duck got all the Skrilla.
Of course, right?
All of it.
Every time he's on screen, there's another 0.2 cents. 0.2 cents.
Come to our place, get drunk while you wear your cross that represents Jesus and your red hat and stuff like that. I you know what? People like this guy, they not only they make me sick, but I see them as victims of a system that has failed them. They are the perfect example of why misinformation and ignorance are so harmful. They are the perfect example of somebody who is so privileged that acknowledging that non-straight people are real is causing him big distress. Dude, do you want to live in a house without running water and electricity? Well, let's see what hell on earth is for you after that. And I guess this is the reason why I just fight misinformation and ignorance in every single show that I can. And I think that we have to make our society a better place. We have to educate people so we have less Mr. Oh yeah, realizing that other people are really hell on earth. We need less people like him in this planet. We need more education.
Yes, we need less Joes because Joe don't know diddly. But I do know something. One of the things that I do know is that you, dear listener and dear watcher, can become a member of the channel for as little as 99 cents a month. That's right, only 99 cents per month. So click the join button below the video, and this will give you access to special chat emojis. I heard those are a thing. And also, apparently, I was told by our most benevolent overlords, hail Satan, that we have a store. If I don't know if y'all knew that. So if you didn't know, now you know. So you can actually visit tiny.cc/merch ACA. That's tiny.cc/merch ACA to get your favorite items like t-shirts, hoodies, and coffee mugs. And you can also check out new items like beanies, phone cases, and tote bags. And all the ACA shows actually feature a special limited edition item each month. So please make sure to check out our store for NP merch and merch from all other shows. Yes, folks, buy our shit. It is quality shit. Okay? If quality can be shit, that's what this is. Now, one of the quality things that you can actually purchase is this month's shirt in review. It is the Bible 0.5 stars, and it says badly translated from writings by multiple authors, not authors, but authors, references to murder, corruption, bestiality, and incest, endorses misogyny, racism, slavery, genocide, infanticide, and violence, and consider it's by proponents as the source of morality, even though most have never read the whole book. As Rich Brit One would say, Christians, read your fucking Bible. I wish I had a really good Liverpool accent for that, but just pretend like I'm a Beatle or something. I don't know. Well, let's go ahead and get to the last segment. And I'm sorry, guys, I didn't read that whole Bible thing properly. But
It's all good. It's all good, Cynthia. We're
who
with
reads
you.
the Bible?
We're behind you here.
Yeah, I'm about to say nobody reads the Bible correctly,
No,
so
no one.
you're all good.
Okay, I'm in the fray with everybody else. But we're gonna go ahead and just get to our last segment, guys. And this is a step in the right direction. Step in the right direction, yeah. Step in the right direction. We're stepping in the right direction, yeah. And this story is entitled, Thank You. I'd rather die than call her a him. Christian teacher banned from teaching for misgendering trans people says he feels no remorse as he slams lack of training over transgender issues in schools. This is from the Daily Mail, and also comes up with a companion article, Ban Christian teacher who misgenders pupils says schools should not affirm trans pronouns, and plots appeal, leading Britain's conversation by Will Taylor. So basically, we have a story coming from the Daily Mail and the companion story from the Leading Britain Conversation, or the LBC. And no, I'm not talking about a Snoop Dogg song.
This say Long Beach.
It's just like Compton. The story is about a Christian UK teacher named Joshua Sutcliffe, and that misgendered a student in his class. According to the LBC, Sutcliffe has admitted he did not use their preferred pronouns when he was told a math class, well done, girls, but said that was not intentional and then apologized straight away. But in the Daily Mail, he said to the Telegraph, well, I'm sorry, but that's the Christian position. I wasn't going to say I'm going to along with this. I'd rather die, to be honest. Obviously, that's quite extreme, but that's how I feel. So this lets me know that the supposed apology was a hunk of bullshit. So who wants to go ahead and take it first? Kelley, I think that you have some thoughts on this particular Mr.
I do. So we got one bigot going from hell on earth to another bigot doing thoughts of self-annihilation, right? I don't
Nihilism
get
all
it.
the way.
Yeah,
Nihilism
I don't
all the
get
way.
it.
Yeah.
And it's just
Mhm.
one more undermining my argument with stupidity to me. And does he really think, and this guy's a teacher, remember, that does he really think that we believe he would rather die than use someone's pronoun that he disagrees with?
Hyperbole.
I think we should put him to the test. I don't think we should kill him, but I'd like to see it, the threat be put there, and then see what judgment he makes at that point. Because I don't think he'd prefer death over the using a pronoun. I think he's being very, very disingenuous.
Do you want to check to see if he has the faith of Abraham?
Yes,
Is
right.
that what you're
right.
asking
That's
for?
exactly it. That's
Right?
exactly it.
Okay.
Wait,
That's some
oh
mean
no,
sass.
not you again. Yes, BD, they do have bigots over in England.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to pay to take a cruise over there. You're afraid of flying. Get out of here. You're not afraid of flying. Let me finish the show.
So entitled. So entitled.
Oh yeah,
Privilege
I was
duck.
talking about things that annoy me.
Mm.
Yeah, he's calling and he's calling for training and guidance for interaction with trans students. Or so he says in one breath, and then in the next breath he says he's immutable on his ideas of gender anyway. So any amount of training isn't going to make this man change his mind or his behavior. I don't understand why he thinks that calling for training is going to make a difference. What do you think, Teo?
Oh, well, yeah, actually, Billy, I actually agree with you. I think that he was being totally dishonest. And I wanted to mention the Bible again because it's so funny how how Christians seem to take their Bible as if it was fake, because they always say, oh yeah, we're superior because we follow the 10 Commandments, do not lie. And then we have all this type of Christians saying, oh no, I'm totally being discriminated. Why, sir? Why are you being discriminated? Because they won't let me bully this kid. Oh no. I'm not bullying. It's just that they never taught me what I should do, and that's why I prefer to die before accepting that this child is was a he or a she? I think it was a he. So I prefer to die before calling this child a he. And worst of all, I'm sure that this guy is going to try to, play the victim card. Oh no, I'm being persecuted by my beliefs, instead of accepting, oh yeah, it's a freaking adult who should know better, who is working with children, who is actually bullying a child. Disgusting guy, and I agree with the bigotry dog that Kelley had in there, and with mine as well. So yeah, Scott.
Yeah, well, before I say anything, full disclosure here, I'm a teacher at a public college and a union member, so I recognize that I may be biased in favor of my fellow teacher here. No, that's not going to happen.
No, okay, I'm about to say.
But I got to call it. I got to call it. I got to check myself, right? I got to check myself before I get into it here. So having said that, I wanted to compare this situation with the situation we were talking about earlier with the Catholic Church in Chicago, right? And so in that previous section, at the end, I was talking about Mr. Rogers, and we were looking for where's the helpers, right? And we were all angered greatly that the adults would just stand around and look the other way while these horrible things were happening, right? The people in charge of caring for these other vulnerable human beings were dropping the ball big time. And so in that case, the response was way too little, way too late, and an underreaction. Now let's compare that to what we're looking at here. So we have the British government, the school district or whatever was taking action here. So in this case, we appear to have a different response. It's important that we keep in mind that we don't have all the facts here. So we want to make sure, but based off of the facts that we've seen, it was an appropriate response. It was, I think the response of the school was direct and thoughtful and appropriate and measured. And most importantly, it was enacted with the best interest of the children in mind. They said that multiple times throughout the article. that they were trying to give a measured response, give an appropriate response, and one that protected the children first. So Catholic Church, please pay attention. This is how you do it. This is how you do it.
All right, man, I was so about to start singing, but I but just to piggyback off of what you said, Scott, in actuality, the 33-year-old teacher at the Cherwell School in Oxford failed to treat a pupil with dignity and respect. So the Teacher Regulation Authority, that is their ruling body, that I guess this is an equivalent of a board of education in that particular area, found in a case considered the first of its kind, it also ruled that he did not protect their well-being and he did not use their preferred pronouns. And the body added was more probable than not that he referred to the pupil using female pronouns on other occasions during his tenure at the school between 2015 and 2018. And then it goes on to say that Mr. Sutcliffe was also found to have committed misconduct for expressing his opposition to gay marriage after a pupil asked him about it, and did not consider the possible impact of a statement that being gay was wrong. So, he basically engaged in his typical apologetics according to fundamentalist Christian worldview that asked about the TRA's finding. And he actually made remarks about being opposed to homosexuality. He actually said that I had a gay friend. It's kind of like up there, I had a gay friend. I got that black friend, right?
Oh, well, okay.
But yeah,
well,
no, I had a gay friend too. Yeah, guess what? I had a black friend and gay friend. And
I got a black gay friend.
I got several black gay friends. I even got black trans friends.
I have a bigot friend.
You got it right. Well, you got a friend that calls out bigotry. That's what you got. But one of the things that he said, see, like first he said, well, that gay friend I had. Check this out, guys. He said, my gay friend left the gay lifestyle and decided to live a Christian lifestyle. And the students found out about that. And I don't regret sharing this information. So not only are you misgendering people, you're not using their pronouns correctly. You are not actually being that helper that Scott talked about when your gay student came and asked you like an actual question about gay marriage. Then you had the nerve to push. Oh, my goodness. I need to cross myself real quick.
We call that pattern of behavior, a pattern of behavior.
Yes,
that's what that's called.
But he's pushing also conversion therapy.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, that's naturally part of it, right?
Yeah, but and the crazy thing about it, and this is the scary part about you actually being a teacher of children and not knowing the statistics when it comes to conversion therapy actually being more harmful than helpful to people who actually go through it. There's tons of studies on this.
That's because faith is more important than facts.
See, faith over facts. I see that's what we're doing. I see that's exactly what they're doing. But, but one of the things that I will say specifically is to step in the right direction is that at least you have a educational oversight board, the TRA specifically, that recognize the harm that this teacher was involved in and made his butt banned so that he cannot teach in the UK again. Now, Mr. Sutcliffe, I'm about to tell you right now, don't bring your ass over here. Don't come over across the pond. Don't do that. Stay your ass where you at. And
you might be welcome in Florida.
I was just thinking, all you got to do is move to Mississippi or Alabama, and he'd get a job as a head teacher.
Well, but I just want to slip in here real quick here, Cynthia. You were just talking about how that they were taking action, right? And so the TRA, right? This teacher, what was it? The teacher.
The Teaching Regulation Authority.
Teaching regulation, yeah. So they did this knowing that there was going to be pushback, knowing that there was going to be bad press, knowing that this was going to happen. So I think that makes it all the more admirable.
Yeah, that's true. And even if you do come to Florida, Mr. Sutcliffe, I'm about to tell DeSantis, don't get that man no damn job. Don't you do it. We're gonna come down there and find you.
Yeah,
Not
we'll put
really,
Helen
no.
on the job then. We'll get Helen Green down.
We'll get
She's down
Helen.
there in
Well,
Florida.
he
We'll
couldn't-
we'll put her on it.
Exactly.
DeSantis wouldn't welcome him to Florida because he'd be an immigrant, right?
This is, but hold on. He will be the right kind of immigrant.
Eh,
You know. I mean, that's a whole nother show too. But mainly, and we have precedents in history. If you're the right kind of immigrant, United States ain't got no problem with you. But Kelley, go ahead and close this out so we can go ahead and close out the show.
I will close us out. Thankfully, while we still have to contend with people like Florida Man and Mr. Immutable here, we are making a lot of headway against the sheer bigotry left in the world. And it makes me proud that, first off, that the TRA stood up to this man and did what they were supposed to do. And I'm really proud that I belong to a group of people that really cares, supports, stands up, and speaks out for marginalized people as much as the people around me do and the people here on this panel do. We should all of us around the world stand up, support these groups, because in the end, atheists are a marginalized group too. And by lending our support to others' causes, we gain their support as well. I'd rather walk through the darkness watching someone's back while someone watches mine rather than walk alone. You don't need to be super to be a hero.
That was beautiful, Kelley.
Truth.
And I almost started singing again. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna do my final announcement.
You say that like you're not trying to get us to beg you to sing, Cynthia. Please sing.
No, it's not that.
We know fishing when we hear it. Okay.
No. I'm, as soon as you started talking, like your last point, especially about not walking alone, I just took me back to my choir days. You all know that song, but we want to stay monetized. So I will not sing. That's what I'm saying. Unless I can actually make up a song on the spot about not walking alone, which I'm not that creative. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to the final announcements, which are join our fan social media outlets. You can find most of the nonprofits host on the Atheist Community of Discord by going to tiny.cc/ACD Discord and on Facebook at tiny.cc/FBNP. And we also value your feedback. So tell us what you like and tell us what you don't like in the comments below. I'm pointing down again. Everybody point down. Everybody point down. There you go. We didn't practice that one either, y'all. Yeah. So also you can email us too. So make sure that you can do that. Make sure to do that, because we have this interstitial called mailbag that we would like to play. And if you do that, then we can play the interstitial, go mailbag, and then we'll read your mail on air or on internet. And that email is nonprofits@atheist-community.org. And also visit the Atheist Community of Austin's official website at atheist-community.org on the latest of what's been happening, and feel free to contact the ACA at tv@atheist-community.org. And everybody, you have a charge from me. I want everyone to say one word about how they feel about today's show, starting with Scott Dickie. Go.
No pressure, right? No pressure. One word. Cathartic.
Okay. Teo, one word.
Afraid, as usual.
Okay.
Hopeful.
And my word would be thanks for listening. Actually, that's just more than one word. But
yeah, I was going to say that I'm not good with numbers, but it wasn't one.
Yeah. I understand. But but that was my charge, because I'm running this runaway train. And therefore I say one word from the panel. So you got to give me one word. But even though that one may feel cathartic and one may feel afraid, there is hope. And I'm leaning on that. And on that note, everyone, thank you for watching and or listening to us. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Watch Talk Heathen live Sundays at 1 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTH and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callth.